Good morning everyone, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome along to the vlog. Now this is something a bit different. I'm actually talking to the camera straight after the introduction video. But there is a reason for that, which I'm going to get to shortly. First of all, I'd like to apologise for there being no vlog last week. The reason I'm going to explain in a minute is the reason why there was no vlog. But I will say, if you don't follow me on social media like my Twitter, my Facebook and my Instagram, please look at the links in the description below and please do give them a follow. I'm posting on there pretty much every day of the working week, and I posted on there to say why I wasn't vlogging last week. Well, I did vlog, but why I didn't get a vlog up. So that will keep you all up to date. So I'm sorry if you missed that and you were unsure why I didn't do one, but I'll explain in a second. But yeah, hopefully now things are going to get back to normal. Today's vlog will be a short vlog, mainly because a lot of the work that we're doing at the minute is very samey to the same customers, which is good for us. You know, it's fantastic because we've got real regular work and they're good customers as well, and we're doing more work for them, you know, so their workload has increased. But the problem is it's going to be boring for vlog content, and I want to try and keep you all, a bit dark in here isn't it, keep you all entertained. You know, here we go, come out to the light now, there we go. But with doing the same drops over and over again, unfortunately it's going to get a bit boring for you, so this one will be a short one. My first drop I'm doing today is one I've done on camera before, but the bit after this is completely different and I've never shown on camera before, so that should be okay for you. But yeah, I apologise that it's a short vlog. Like I say, I apologise also that there was no vlog last week. I did record one. I actually recorded a 2-day vlog, which ended up being a 2.5-day vlog, mainly because on the second day I'd completely forgot, after downloading the footage off the cameras, to delete the footage. So about a third into the day I'm recording my time lapse like you do and bits to the camera, and all of a sudden the forward facing camera turns off. So when I stop at the my next drop, I have a look and it says memory card full, and that's when I realised what I'd done. And the problem with the GoPro cameras is, that I've got anyway, you can only delete either your last bit of footage or everything. You can't select set clips to delete. So I couldn't delete everything off because obviously I'd done recording previously that day and I'd lose all that. So unfortunately that vlog became a 2.5-day vlog. So what happened was, I was just sitting down on the Thursday to edit the vlog when I got a message from an old work colleague of mine, an old hospital duty manager. Before I worked here, I actually worked in a hospital, which I'll go into later on in this vlog. I'll explain a few bits and pieces. But she messaged me to say that unfortunately an old work colleague of mine, Andy Taylor, who is here, picture of him here, had sadly passed away. He'd had lung cancer and he'd had it for 5 months and unfortunately lost the battle. Andy was a proper salt of the earth character, would do anything for anyone. He was good fun to be around. I worked with him for about 6 years altogether. Before he came back to the hospital, he was a prison officer. So yeah, he looked a bit rough around the edges and you wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley on your way home about midnight. But he wouldn't harm a fly. He was really a sound guy, and we had lots of fun. You know, when I was working there with Andy and the team, it was a good team, and I was sort of management and they were the porter, but we all treated each other exactly the same. Nobody was any different to anybody else, you know, it was that sort of atmosphere. And I always remember like a couple of stories to remember Andy by, he used to give nicknames to people, and we used to have a female porter there called Joan, who's now retired, and she was lovely. She really was. She would do anything for anyone. She would go the extra mile. If she was walking down the corridor and she could see someone struggling, she would stop what she's doing and help them out. You know, that sort of person. And because she was zipping here, zipping there, she wouldn't really sit down at all. She was always doing something. You know, when she got back to the porter's lodge, she wouldn't sit down and have a cup of tea. She'd be cleaning stuff, cleaning the surfaces and stuff. She was constantly on the go. and because of that, Andy called her Mad Madam Mim, which is the name that stuck with her. I gave Andy the nickname Cagney because of his love for James Cagney films and his constant quoting of the films, and you know, "you dirty rat" and stuff like that, you know. And he gave me the nickname Slash, which I won't go into the actual reasons for it, because those who know, and to be honest, it isn't really the time and place to actually go into that. But it is a nickname that's now going to stick with me, and I might even change my nameplate on the window from Andy to Slash, as a mark of respect for Andy, bless him, you know. And some of the stories I could tell, I could do a vlog just on, you know, our time at the hospital, which, to be fair, I might actually do at some stage if it interests you. If it does, leave a comment down below and I will tell you a few stories. But there was a couple of stories I can tell you. It was middle of the night on a night shift, and you'd have 3 porters and 1 security guard. We got a phone call from the security office, and there's a bloke in security called Jimmy. Now, Jimmy was a big black man from New York, you know, real strong New York accent, you know, and he says, hey, the alarm's going off in the boiler house. Hey, can you come and help us? So it's like, yeah, fair enough. So obviously the intruder alarm had been set and gone off. Because it's the middle of the night, there's nobody about, and you don't want to be going into somewhere like a big boiler house out in the yard by yourself, because you don't know who's there and what they've got to hand. They could even pick something up from the boiler house, like a bit of pipe or a spanner or whatever. So you don't want to risk it. So he called for us to help. So I said to Andy, come on mate, let's go. 3 of us are better than 2, so let's get going. So we walk out into the yard, and it's pitch black. You know, it really is. There's no lights out there at all. And Jimmy lets us in the first door. And before we go through the second door, there's like a security box where you have to turn the alarm off. So Andy's unlocking the door in front of us. Jimmy's putting the code in the door to turn the alarm off. So we walk in through that door, and as you walk in, it's a really narrow passageway, and it's like a T-junction, and you can't see anything what's coming either way. And we walk in, and all of a sudden, I won't shout because I'll deafen you, but all of a sudden there's a "Oi!" real loud, real bellowing loud. And me and Andy, you know, we get scared, put it that way. To be polite, to keep this vlog family friendly, something in our pants. Yeah. What had happened was, Jimmy decided in his wisdom, infinite wisdom, to get his mag light, which is about 1.5 foot long torch, and bang it on a pipe really loud behind us, and shout "Oi!" to put the people, if there was anybody in there, off. The thing is though, he neglected to tell us that he was going to do that. So me and Andy about left out of our skin, and we really had a go at Jimmy for that, like, you know. Another time was there was a waste operative who would go around collecting the waste from the wards called Dharmesh. And one day Andy's out in the yard, and like I said, Andy loved a bit of fun. He did. He really loved it. That's what he loved more than anything. And that's how I remember him. But yeah, going back to the story, he was out in the yard. He was doing something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, that was it. Yeah, he was sorting out some empty oxygen bottles and stuff like that. And, like, he had like a spanner and that to sort of change them over and all this, that, the other. And Dharmesh is out in the yard, and he snuck out without him knowing, like, you know, and is just packing stuff away. All the cylinders have been put away. He's just putting the tools and stuff away. And Dharmesh jumps on Andy's back. And once again, like, you know, Andy's petrified. He doesn't know what the hell's happened. Dharmesh then jumps off and goes running. Andy's chasing after him, swinging this spanner above his head, like, oi, 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 like. And Dharmesh just leaps over this fence in the yard and just runs away laughing, you know. And I won't say what Andy called him, but yeah, there's a few choice words used. And when he got back to the lodge, and about a week later, Dharmesh was driving around the yards. Driving around the ward, sorry. And Andy was on. And I knew that Dharmesh was heading back to the yard. So I radioed through to Andy because I was out doing a job at the time. Bearing in mind I'm a manager. And I said, Dharmesh is going out to the yard. If you want to scare him, do it now. You know. So Andy shot out, went into the yard. Didn't know where he went, you know, just went out to the yard. And about 5 minutes passed by and Dharmesh walks in. And he says, Andy, can you help us? I said, yeah, what's up? He says, I've taken a door off. I said, what do you mean taking a door off? As I was driving the electric tug through the corridors, the door on one side closed between the two trailers, and I've pulled it like 180 degrees back on itself, and I can't do anything with it. It's stuck, you know, it's broke, you know. So yeah, alright, I'll have a look. So I came out with him, and rightly so, he'd done a good job of it. The door was perfectly fine, perfectly stood up, no breaking or anything like, you know, wouldn't even have been done. But it was wedged in the frame 180 degrees the other way with the hinges pulled out the wall. Yeah, he'd done quite a good job of that. But because there were fire doors, we couldn't just leave it like that and just say, yeah, we'll get it sorted later in the week. So I'm ringing the engineers up, they're coming out. There we all are, taking the door off the hinges, and they're really heavy fire doors. And about 25 minutes to half hours passed by. And I just thought to myself, oh yeah, Andy went out a bit ago. You know, better let him know that he's still in here, Dharmesh. So I rang him. And he says, blimey, I said, I've been sat outside here in this bin, ready to jump out at Dharmesh. I'm glad you told me. He got into one of these like 4-wheel bins, an empty 4-wheel bin with a closing lid, and his plan was to literally as Dharmesh came out to jump out at him, like, you know. And there he was, he was sat out there for about 25-30 minutes. So he comes back in, and of course he takes the Michael out of him when he gets in, like, and this, that, the other. But yeah, just stories like that will remain with me, you know, they really will. And like I say, a real proper decent bloke. You know, he'd love to go out for a drink with his mates. Obviously he'd sometimes go a bit far with the drink, and he'd end up, you know, in a flower bed in his front garden or in his neighbour's bin or something like that. Yeah, you heard that right. His missus once found him asleep in the shed and stuff like that. But he wouldn't harm anybody. He was a happy drunk as well, if you know what I mean. He wasn't violent or anything like that. So yeah, sadly I got the news that he died of cancer. He'd had it for 5 months. And like I say, he got in touch with me about a year ago. We had just a general chat, and we actually did plan to meet up at some stage and, you know, have a few bevies, like old times. But sadly now, that won't happen. And yeah, it really shocked me. It really did upset me. So I thought to myself, you know what? These vlogs, I like to try and keep light-hearted, cheery, happy. Pardon me. And I don't think there's any way that after hearing that sad news, I could edit a vlog and give it my best. Now I will keep the footage that I've taken, and it will be uploaded at some stage, possibly in a week or two. But that is why I missed last week's vlog, basically, because of the bad news. And it reminded me of my mate Matt, who died and stuff like this, which I'll also go into another day. I might even go into in this vlog, I don't know. I don't want to make the vlog too sad, you know, because I want to remember Andy and Matt, which is not the reason why I didn't do last week, but I want to remember them as the good times. So I don't want people to be too sad about it. It's sad that he's passed on as our Andy, but yeah, that's why I didn't do the vlog last week, just because I didn't feel up to doing the editing. But yeah, so I'm sorry about that. I hope you'll forgive me. But yeah, so I'm going to crack on. I'm going to head into Beckton. That's where I've got first. From Beckton, I'm heading back up to Leicester, doing a trailer swap to a different trailer, which I don't think I've shown on the vlog before. Could be wrong. Might have shown it. I have shown it on the vlog, but I've not shown me using it. That's right. and do a delivery with that, and then from there I'm not sure what's happening. So, but yeah, it's going to be a fairly short vlog, and I think on the way back up from here I'll talk about the NHS and the job that I did in the NHS and stuff like that. But yeah, so once again, sorry I didn't do a vlog last week. I hope you all understand. But like I said, I'm going to crack on. So I'm going to roll the time-lapse footage that I've taken from the yard up to this point and up to the delivery point. So it's going to go dark again on the screen. It's going to look like I'm going back to night time. But I wanted to explain first, before I did that, why this vlog's a bit different. So yeah, so thank you very much, and roll VT.
White snow, red sky, reach out for a soul so high. Blue eyes, fake cry, beware of the fox tonight. Cold feet, a dark rain, my blood in your frozen veins. Dream high, no pain, run fast in the broken chains.
Like my concentration face. Right, that's that delivery down in London done. I'm now back in Leicester. I've just dropped the trailer that I had off at a customer of ours who needs a trailer there to be loaded up during the day. I'm now heading back towards the yard to pick up another trailer, quite a different trailer, which you shall see shortly. Whilst I was here, I did a bit of filming for a manufacturer, which that's all I'm going to say, which should come out soon, all being well, if it's all okay with them. I'm going to email it them in a minute to show them what I've done, and if it is any good, it will be online soon. But I'm going to keep you in suspense on that one. But yeah, from here, like I say, back to the yard. I'm then going to go to another place in Leicester and drop that load that's been collected from yesterday, and then bring that trailer back here. And I'm going to swap, hopefully, for the full one and take that back to the yard. That's the plan anyway, so we shall see how it goes. But yeah, so I'm going to crack on, and I shall see you all when I'm leaving the yard. Right, we're nearly there now, guys, and as I'm sure you can see from the outside camera, there is something different about this trailer. It's missing about a quarter of it, and it's missing an axle. This is our little urban trailer. It's great for little deliveries like this and little collections. This went down to London yesterday to collect this, and it was right in this little tight industrial estate. So it's absolutely perfect for it. So as you turn, as you can see, there's no real bulkhead sticking out either, which is brilliant. It just makes it so much easier. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to reverse in front of that shutter. You want it there? Yeah, I'll spin round and I'll back in, yeah? No worries. Well, as you just heard, I need to back actually over there where the shutter's open, but that's fine. I can soon do that. Because like I say, with the trailer being so short, it just gives you so much better manoeuvrability. You're not having to worry about a big trailer behind you. The only difference is now I'm having to blindside it. But it is what it is. The thing you've got to be wary of is because it's so short, it reacts a lot quicker than most trailers. As long as you're aware of it, and just take your time, it's not really a problem. And with the axle being right at the back as well, it just means that, you know, you can tuck it in quite nicely into places. I have overcooked that one, but never mind, I can soon straighten that out a bit. Sorted, that will do. Right, I've done that delivery, and now I'm on my way to do another collection. At first, I was going to another customer, as I said to you, to drop this trailer off and pick up the other one. But I was just coming off the motorway and the phone rang, and they said that this customer here has got an urgent 8 pallets that need collecting, 8 pallets of cleaning products. So making my way down here. I'm going to pick them up and take them back to the yard, get tipped, and then drop this trailer off at the customers after that. So luckily I wasn't too far out of the way when I got called by the office. They were worried that I was nearly back at the yard, but luckily I'd only just come off the motorway, so just a slight detour. But yeah, that's the plan at the minute, so I shall rejoin you all when I'm leaving the site. Right, there we go, all sorted. That's now been delivered back to the yard and taken off to be reloaded for tomorrow. This trailer that I've got behind me wouldn't work for the delivery because it's a back door job, and this has got a full height tail lift at the back. So obviously it's had to be taken off and be reloaded onto a big straight frame trailer. But that shouldn't take them too long to do tonight. I'm now on my way to take this trailer back to the other customers where I was earlier. And hopefully the other trailer will be ready now, but we shall see. If not, I'll give the office a call, and I'm sure there'll be something else I can do. Whilst I was in the warehouse being tipped, I jumped onto the back and used the pallet truck to bring the pallets over to make it easier for the forklift driver. So as I always say, teamwork makes the dream work. It certainly does. And whilst I was helping him, he said, "Oh, cheers Andy, by the way, for sticking up for his warehouse guys the other day on Facebook." I said, and what post was that? Because I support warehouse and drivers on a lot of things. And he said, oh, on the company page, when they were saying about, you know, thank you to our warehouse staff, you and another driver, Mark, were really sticking up for us. You know, saying, yeah, they're good and this, that, the other. I said, mate, you know, you do a fantastic job. You know, you're always helpful. If we ask you to do something, like if we have an issue with one of the pallets or something, like, you know, pallet's broken or something, can you just take it off and change it, etc., etc. Without question, they do it, and they do it very good, very efficiently, very quickly. They're spot on. I said, no, you deserve the praise, mate. You know, so that was quite nice to hear him say thank you. I mean, I don't do it to get thank you. I don't do anything to get thank yous. It's who I am. But yeah, I'm glad it got noticed. But anyway, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to sort this trailer out, and I shall rejoin you all when I know what's happening next. Right guys, welcome to day 2 of the vlog. I thought I'd make this a 2-day vlog because yesterday I didn't really go to many places. So I wanted to try and make it a bit more interesting for you. Some of you may recognise where I'm going right now, but I'll get to that in a second. My first drop today was at Hoddesdon, which I've just done, and you saw me bump into a fellow Instagram truck driver called DrifterDan88. If you don't follow him already, please make sure you do. Get onto his account, give him a follow, and tell him I sent you. He's like me, he's a trucker with a lot of pride in what he does and in his wagon, as you can be seen by the condition of his Actros. It's mint. It's better than mine, well and truly better than mine. Puts me to shame. I didn't even want to share the image just in case people started taking the Michael out of my truck. But yeah, he drives for Lenham's like Trucker Jono does. So a lot of their drivers take a lot of pride, and it's good to see actually, to be fair. So, but yeah, from there, I'm now heading to Beckton. Now, Beckton is where I went to first yesterday. So they've got some more deliveries. In fact, I joked with the forklift driver yesterday because we're going there quite regularly. I said, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow then, mate," before I went. And being tomorrow, I am going there, so oh well. But then from there, I'm off to another one of their sites in Braintree, which isn't far from where Trucker Bill lives, who is also known as Wearing Bearings. Now, if you've not subscribed to Wearing Bearings yet, and you are a car nut, then please subscribe to his YouTube channel and tell him that I sent you, just so he knows, so he can buy me a beer as a thank you. But yeah, that's the plan so far for today. I'm not sure what I'm doing after I've been to Braintree, so it's still early days. It's only just 8:30 now anyway, so there's plenty of time for that when I'm done. But yeah, so I'm going to crack on, get down the M11, and I shall see you when I'm at the delivery point. Right, there we go, that's the second delivery done. I'm now near the third delivery, which is in Braintree, which is literally just one of these buildings here on my right hand side. It's not been a bad run up the M11 and across. It's been fairly quiet on the roads. The beginning of the week it was really busy for some reason. It's almost like people were thinking, oh, forget the lockdown, I'm going out. But now it just seemed to have calmed down again. So it's been a nice little drive up. I've only got 7 pallets for these. Hopefully I might be able to get a break in afterwards, or during the tipping meal before. We'll see what happens when I get there. It's only the second time I've been here, so I'm not sure how I'm going to get on. I was there for quite a while on the first time I came, but can't always go by that. If I do manage to get a 30-minute break in, that will clear me then for getting back to Leicester without needing to stop. But at the same time, if I have to stop somewhere, then I have to stop somewhere. It's absolutely fine, it's not a problem. But yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is after this. I've not been told anything, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I thought I'd bring you on the ride in with me. When we leave here, I might talk about my time in the NHS, I think, what I used to do. But I haven't really got a lot of time at the minute because it's just literally just up here. But yeah, because of saying what I mentioned yesterday about Andy and what have you, I thought, well, I might just say a bit of things that we used to do, not as in me and Andy, but as in the department, and part of the reason why I left, and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, it's a job that I miss, I must admit, but I am really happy where I'm working now, and I wouldn't change it, if I'm being honest, especially now anyway, you know, with what's happening, not with the coronavirus, with the actual hospitals, which I'll go into as well. Yeah, I know it might be a long section, so please forgive me. You'll make a change from time lapses anyway, won't it? Anyway, I'm literally just here now. I don't know if Trucker Bill might recognise where we are. Like I say, he's from not far from here. In fact, last time I was here, I messaged him, and he said, of course, he wasn't working, so he was actually stuck at home. And he said, oh, his missus is shopping in the Tesco's just up the road. I said, that's all right, I'll kidnap her then, take her home. And he goes, oh, you can have her. So yeah, but right, I'm going to have to leave you here as I'm pulling in, because obviously I don't know if I can record in here. So I shall rejoin you all again when I'm coming out. Right then, we're back on the road. Actually, we're back down at the A14 now. It's been a while since I spoke to you. I did actually manage to get my brake in whilst I was being tipped and just after. Opened the curtains, jumped in and put it on brake because the goods in bloke said, "Oh, do you mind if it just takes a bit longer than normal because we've got a new forklift driver on?" I said, no, that's absolutely fine, not a problem at all. As long as I don't hit my truck, I'm happy. That's what really matters. So people have got to learn, haven't they? You know what I mean? I'm not the quickest on a forklift either, so you know, it's one of them things. So she unloads me. I've got about 10 minutes left on my break, so I just said to the goods in, "Do you mind if I stay where I am for 10 minutes while I grab a quick sandwich and a drink?" I said, "If you need me to move, I can move." He said, "It's not a problem, you know." But he said, no, you stay where you are. We're not expecting anybody else in. So that was the result. Managed to get my 30-minute break in. I'm now heading back to a customer in Leicester where I collected from yesterday, towards the end of the shift. The stuff I'm collecting is actually the same place that I've just been to and the one before it in London, in Beckton. So we're going back there again on Monday. Well, I say we, I don't know if I'm doing it or if somebody else is. But that's what I mean at the minute, you see. Because of the nature of the job, with the coronavirus, we are doing fairly regular drops to the same customers. So at the minute, I'm afraid to say, content isn't going to be that varied. I'll try and do stuff best I can. Like I'm going to try and do some talking bits rather than actual time lapse. And I might do shorter vlogs for the time being. I do plan to do big vlogs, please don't get me wrong, that is the plan. But obviously if the work's the same every day, then I don't want to get you bored and get you thinking, oh, same thing again. Same drop, you know, gets repetitive and boring, doesn't it? And that's the last thing I want to do is get rid of any subscribers because I'm doing quite well. I think I'm at about 750 now. So just push for that over 250 and we're all good. But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier about working for the hospital. I spent 13 years as a hospital porter before I started working here. Before that I worked in the canteen at the hospital, which was sorting out the patient meals for the trolleys that would go up to the wards. So I started there in 2001. About, what would it be? About 2002 I moved up to the portering side of the catering department, which was driving electric tugs about delivering meals to the wards. If I can find a picture of one of the electric tugs, I'll put it up, but I don't know if I've got one or not. Days before smartphones, you see. Whilst I was doing that, I got chatting, of course, to the normal porters and got to know them. And I said, look, if a job comes up doing what you're doing, let us know. And back in 2012, late 2002, they said, yeah, there's a job going if you want to go for it. So I went for the interview and actually got it, which was fantastic. I then spent about 2-3 years working mainly on the floor. So that would involve things like going to collect patients for x-rays and echoes and CTs and things, going to clinic appointments for blood tests, just general bits like that. You'd also do equipment moves, like if somebody needs a bed on a ward, you'd do that, collect blood, take it to the ward, collect samples. You'd also do what's known as a pharmacy run, which would be taking things like fluids and things to the wards. You do a drugs run, where you're taking controlled drugs in a locked cabinet around the wards, where only the nurses have the keys, even you don't have a set of keys. Stuff like that, so it was a quite varied job. Then from there I started covering more of the desk duties, which is where the hospital staff would call down to the department and ask for a porter. Just like I'd only really cover when someone wanted to go out for a break or something like that. So I wasn't doing it all the time, but I got more and more into it. And a job came up because one of the actual porters retired, and I took over from him. And then from there, I just sort of progressed up a bit more, became a trainer on the tugs, things like that. You know, got more and more involved. And it really was a good department. I don't like really saying it because I'm not one for blowing my own trumpet, but we were really well liked. We had a lot of good comments off the ward staff and off the patients and things like that. And yeah, it's a really enjoyable job. but it's had its downsides. Now online, as a truck driver, you're on a few forums and things like that, and you see truck drivers moaning about the industry and about the wage, about what they're expected to do. You know, oh, I've had 3 collections to do today, it's ridiculous, they're asking too much of me, this, that, the other. And I sit back and I think, you know what, mate, you don't know half of it. You really don't. This job as a driver, I don't mean specifically for this company, but this job as a driver is fantastic. Yes, it's got its rough days. Every job's got its rough days. But all in all, you are left to your own devices. As long as the stuff gets done, that's all that matters. And it's just so stress-free. I'm just sat here, when I'm not recording, I'm just sat here listening to my music, chilling out on a day like this in the sun. If I'm having to wait at a delivery point or a collection point, because I take pride in my truck as best I can, I'm out there cleaning it in the sun, enjoying the weather, no pressure, let the office know what's happening, just keep them in the loop. It's lovely, it really, really is. But these ones that complain about the job, and I will go back to the portering department in a minute, they will say things like, oh, I won't get out of bed for less than £1,000 a week, or I won't do this, I won't do that. Now, as a manager in the portering department, I came out every month after tax with £1,200. Well, just over £1,200 after tax. I've got some kids waving at the bridge, so shall we do the normal beep beep beep? It's got to be done, hasn't it? So I came out with about £1,250 a month, you know, which back then, you're looking at 6-7 years ago, wasn't too bad a salary, don't get me wrong. But yes, that was only for working 37.5 hours a week. But the job itself entailed a lot of stress. I was responsible for everyone's salary. I did payroll sheets. I had to do financial sheets to say where money was going. I was responsible for when jobs came in. From the moment I walked in that door to the moment I left that door, anything that came in that department was my responsibility, and I had to delegate that work, make sure it got done, and some of the things were urgent, really, really urgent. And so that can be stressful. And for the money that I was on, you think to yourself, compared to now, I'm happy where I am now. Now the downsides of the job, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean this in a bad way to the NHS, they are fantastic, and the downsides are a lot less than what the good sides are. But I had it before where I've been rang up in the middle of the night, there's me on the desk, and there's 2 porters working the floor, and a security bloke, one single security person in the security office covering the whole hospital. Now we cover the whole hospital, so that's what, 600 beds, I think it was roughly, so 600 patients over 32 wards, so quite a few people there, put it that way. And technically speaking, as a charge hand, as a manager, my job was to stay in that room at all times, but I wouldn't, because I like to get out onto the floor and do work, and I like to be part of the team. I'd never ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And I remember one day I got a phone call, you know, oh, can you go down to blood bank and get some blood for XX patient? Now normally you get a unit number, a date of birth and a name, so you can make sure that that blood is the right one for the patient. So before I could ask for that, the nurse says, it's really urgent, blood bank know you're coming, and she put the phone down. So I thought, oh, okay, fair enough. This was ITU calling. Now an ITU call, or intensive care, you know it's urgent. You know it's very, very urgent. You know, so I shot down myself because I thought, well, I can't wait for any report to get back. I need to go and do this myself. So I shot down to the blood bank, walked in the door, and as soon as I walked in the door, like there's like a locked door as you walk in, the Flebo came out from, is it a Flebo? Phlebotomist? Well, whatever it is, you know, the person that works in the blood bank came out from their office with a bag full of blood, absolutely full to the brim. And she says, you here for ITU? I said, yes I am. She goes, there you go, don't worry about scanning it, just go. So fair enough. and as she handed me the paperwork, there was 24 pints of blood in that bag, in that carrier bag, and that's a lot of blood. That's a hell of a lot of blood. That's more than what the human body takes. So you're thinking, oh, this is not good. Not good is an understatement. So I shoot up to the ward and go on to the main ITU department, and there's a bed with curtains closed around it. So I said to one of the nurses, oh, I've got blood for so and so. She goes, yeah, behind that curtain. So I just shouted, I didn't want to go in, shouted, you know, blood for so and so. Curtain opened, and behind this curtain they are operating on the patient. You can, now if you're squeamish, please skip a bit. Please skip a bit before I go any further. Please skip a bit. So yeah, open the curtains, there's this patient, chest open, operating on the heart. So, oh, didn't expect to see that. But, you know, you're in a hospital, you know, handed the blood over. The nurse passed me a receipt, which was like roughly scribbled on blood, you know, and on the paper, you know, what they want and that, you know, so 24 units of blood and signed, and the patient details sticker on it. And she said to me, can you go straight back down to blood bank? I said, why, who else do you want me to collect for? She goes, no, for this patient here. I said, yeah, but you got 24 units, I bought them all up. She goes, no, we are squeezing the blood in and it is coming out faster than we can put it in. So, ooh, okay. So I radioed through to the other porters to see if any of them were available, and luckily they were. So one of them went down and dealt with that next run. So we kept on running up. And thankfully the patient survived, you know, but that to me is stress. You know, in this job, if I'm 10 minutes late for a delivery, the worst that can happen, the very worst that can happen is that company says, no, we're not having it, and I have to take the load back, and it has to be redelivered. And yes, that costs the company money. I don't like doing that, don't get me wrong. You know, terrible. I like to be early, I like to get the job done properly, you know, but that's technically speaking the worst that can happen in this job. The worst that can happen in the NHS is that patient dies. Now, if I just took my time with that blood going up, that patient could have died. If them nurses weren't on the ball behind that curtain, that patient could have died. So that's a completely different level of stress compared to what truck drivers have to go through. Yeah, it's rubbish when you're stuck in traffic and you've got a time delivery. But you ring the office up, you let them know so they can ring the customer up. Sorted, easy. If they refuse it because you've been stuck in traffic, you can't help it. That's it. You know, it gets redelivered another day. You know, but you mess about in the hospital, it's people's lives you're messing with. You know, and we did have to deal with deceased patients. We also had a children's intensive care on site. So in my time, I've physically carried over my shoulder, like when you carry a baby normally, babies to the mortuary. When you do that, you leave them all sort of unwrapped. Well, they're clothed and they're wrapped in a blanket and that, but their face is open and things like that, so you can see them. And the parents come down with you, as well as a couple of nurses or one nurse, depending on what time of day it is. And it's to make it look like you're just carrying the baby to somewhere. You don't stop, you just go straight down. If anybody says anything, you just carry on walking. But you try and make it look natural. You know, make it look like you're taking them down for an x-ray or something like that and they're asleep. But when you've got the parents behind you bawling their eyes out, it's hard. It really is hard. And then you have the other side of it where my wife is a children's nurse, well, was a children's nurse, I'm afraid to say. She's now a holistic therapist. But as she said, the thing with children's wards compared to adult wards is, yes, on adult wards you get attached to the patients because they're there for a few weeks, this, that, the other. But with a children's ward, you get attached to the child and the family because the family are there with the child all the time. You see mum and dad every day. You get to know them, you get to know their story. This could have been a miracle baby that they've only had, you know, pure chance. And now that baby's in intensive care or whatever, you know. And I've been down to the mortuary where I've taken a baby down with a nurse, and I've laid them on the slab, on the metal tray, and it's just been me and the nurse in there. You know, the parents haven't come down, they've stayed on the ward, and that nurse has been crying her eyes out, you know, and they apologise for it. And I always used to say, take as long as you need, don't worry about it, you know, it's fine, you know, there's a lot of emotion in it, you know, it's hard, it really is. So you got that side of it. We had, because we were attached to security, we often used to get called up to assist, like the story I said yesterday about the burglar alarm with Jimmy, Jimmy the security, Andy Taylor. You have the other side of it where you'd be called up for abusive parents, not parents, I ignore that, abusive patients and things like this, or abusive relatives, or people trying to steal things or whatever. And sometimes on some wards, because of the medication needed for the conditions that they've got, it could make people see things and things like this. And you know, I've nearly been bitten, I've had piss thrown at me, pardon the language, I've been threatened with needles, been called all different names. You know, you're being abused by the patient. They can't help it, they're not doing it intentionally, you know, but because of where they are and they've got things attached to them like drips and stuff, they'll be so careful. That's stress, you know. I always remember on a joking side, 2 funny stories with that one is, went down to the ward one day with a duty manager who's basically the head in charge of the hospital, you know, the head nurse who's in charge of all the wards, everything, all the beds, blah blah blah, you know. And he was great. His name was Darren, great bloke, you know, really stick up for you, porters and security, good team, you know, he was really good. And went on to ward 33, I think it was, and it's middle of the night and there's a patient kicking off, and he comes up as well because he's the duty manager. There's me and security, one security bloke, Dave Mansfield, and and I always remember, like, the patient was just teetering on the edge of being calm, you know, I don't know. And Darren turned around to me and says, do you want a hot drink? And me and Dave look at each other and think, no, not a hot drink, not a hot drink, not a hot drink. Water, yeah, but not a hot drink. So the bloke said, yeah, please, cup of tea, you know. And you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe he's calming down, maybe he's going to be okay. So off Darren went to make the cup of tea. I stepped out and said to him, don't make it hot, add a bit of cold water, make it warm but not hot, which he did. And as Darren walks in with a cup of tea, the curtains are closed around the bed because it's like an open bay. You've got 4 beds in a bay, and it's middle of the night, so all the curtains are closed except for like just in front of this patient's bed so we can see him. And as I always remember, as Darren hands the cup of tea over to the patient, me and Dave Mansfield take a step back and sort of round the curtain, because the next thing that happens is the cup of tea ends up over Darren, not drunk by the patient. And it's like, yeah, you didn't want to do that just yet, mate, you know, he's nowhere near it. So we had to restrain him again, and we had to start again from the scratch, and it's just part of it. And the other one that made me smile, there's a patient down on ward 17, and he was really kicking off, I'm going home, I've had enough of this, blah blah blah. I mean really being loud, being abusive, everything. Now, we weren't restraining him because he wasn't being physically violent, he was just being loud and shouty and this, that, the other. And he grabs his IV line, which is basically fluid that goes into the cannula in your arm, and he rips it out. No problem, it's just a needle that's in you. That's easy, yeah, it's just like removing it. Rip that one out. He got to the other side and he ripped that one out. Next thing, he grabbed his catheter tube. Now, a catheter goes into an area that's quite sensitive. And he yanked it a bit. He went, he sat down and his anger went from like up here to, oh, I'm like a baby now. Oh, that hurt, that hurt, that hurt. And you shouldn't laugh about it, but it was just that how he was determined to rip it out and didn't think of the consequences, just like grab, yank, you know. So it had its funny side to the job as well. But we're dealing with patients, like, you know, like I say, we had one person, we had screams coming from one of the toilets, female toilets, and this woman runs out and there's someone inside the toilet trying to slit her own wrist. So you're having to sort of restrain her to a certain degree until, you know, the psychiatric team who were on site, because we were attached to a psychiatric hospital, would come and assess and whatnot and decide what to do. And so you have that. We've had to climb onto the roof of the building because people have said they're going to jump off. We've had to deal with theft, fires. We had a patient who decided, for some unknown reason, no idea for why, but he decided that he must have been cold, but he wanted to set fire to his bed. Yeah. So we had to evacuate a ward, so that's 30 patients out of the ward. We had to prepare the next door wards each side. There is fire doors that can last, depending on the door, somewhere between half an hour and up to 2 hours, but still you have to prepare them, because if that fire gets really intense, of course they're going to have to evacuate out into the next zone. So that's 60 patients, because you've got 30 and 30. That is not considering the 30 patients that had now been moved out of that ward. Where do you put them? And this happened at 1:30 on a Saturday morning. So there's 3 porters, myself included, security, and the ward staff themselves. There was, I think, 3 nurses, one of which was the senior, and the duty manager. Yeah, to clear a 30-bed ward. I think we got it cleared in about, I think it's about 11 minutes all told. Obviously doing the most urgent areas first, getting people out. Fire brigade came, they were assisting, like, you know, towards the latter part of it. So yeah, we've had to deal with that before, which is interesting. The other downside to the job is I've seen people die. I've seen quite a few people die. The hardest one for me, well, I've had 2 that were quite hard for me. One was my first one. You always remember your first death when you work in a hospital. It does stick with you. We'd just taken a lady down to CT scan, and once again, it's middle of the night. These things always seem to happen in the middle of the night when you haven't got the staff there. Don't know what it is. But we just transferred her over onto the CT scanner, and me and the nurse that I brought down on the bed went into the control room, the CT control room, and the CT technician who's come in from home to do this CT because it's been urgently requested by the doctor on the ward, is talking to the patient, sorting out bits and pieces like the cannula and that, and the next thing is frantically waiting. Right, I'm back, sorry about that. Work have just changed my collection, so, but back to the story. Like I say, we just transferred the patient onto the CT bed, and like I say, he called us through and basically said that she was having a cardiac arrest. So the nurse comes through and rings all the 2s, which is 2222, which for our hospital went straight through to the crash team. You know, that was their number. You know, any sort of operator knew that was an urgent call. So, and then I think within about 30 seconds, the room was full of doctors and nurses, absolutely brimming full. And from that second on, I became a runner. So I was running down to the ward, collecting equipment, running down to get any like medication, stuff like that. And unfortunately, she died, and that was my first death. And I remember it because I'm talking to her down the corridor as you're walking down, as you do, you know, with the bed. And yeah, she was in a bit of pain, but it's a hospital setting. You're sort of used to patients being in pain. But at that stage, I was only just a porter. I wasn't a manager or anything at that stage. And my supervisor, stroke manager at the night time was sound, Jim. You know, I told him what happened, and he, you know, was very supportive. Like, you know, I definitely can't complain. The other death that I remember It's mainly a couple of reasons I remember it. It was one of my last ones before I left, and I was working with my shift partner who would work with the week before nights and the week of nights. You'd do a 4-week rota, one of which would be a Saturday through to a Saturday set of nights. So you start on the Saturday night and you'd finish on the following Saturday morning. And I worked with him also the week before as well, because that's how the shift pattern fell. And he was my shift partner, Steve. And we were all in the lodge having a cup of coffee. Not much happening that night. It was a fairly quiet night. And in the background you can just hear some shouting. You can't quite make out what it is, but you can hear some shouting. And you're thinking, what's that? You know. And then next thing you can hear a proper real shout of help. And you're thinking, oh, you know, what's that? So I looked at Steve, he heard it as well. I said, right, let's go. I turned around to David Scott. Sorry about that, I caught the white line with the sensor on the truck. I wasn't actually on it, but when you get close it tells you on the truck that you've tuned into the white line, and it turns off my recording on the phone, so I'm just making sure that's still recording. But yeah, David Scott, or Scotter, or Mr. Scott, I said to him to stay in the lodge, answer the phone, keep a radio on in case we need it. So we went out, ran down to the corridor. There's this woman, really emotional, saying, my husband's collapsed, I don't know what to do. So we're thinking, oh, where is it? Down here. So we go running down there. There he is, on his back, not breathing, nothing at all. And there's nobody about. It's the middle of the night. Once again, like I say, middle of the night. So I'm thinking, right, we need to get the crash team here. That's the most important thing. So I turn the corner. As I turn the corner, the duty manager's coming the other way. And I remember, like I said earlier, the duty manager is a nurse. They are highly qualified. They're in charge of the hospital. They're a nurse. And that's where they come up from. So straight away, right, help. There's a patient down the corridor who's collapsed, not breathing. I'm going to call the twos. Can you deal with that? So she said, yep, that's absolutely fine, no problem at all. She ran down the corridor. I was met by Steve. And done with that, I ran all the twos and got the crash team out. Now, we became runners once again. We were getting equipment, but the most important thing we were doing, because it was in the middle of a corridor, we were enclosing that corridor. I ended up having to get Scotty out as well to, you know, block one of the corridors, like in the middle of a T-junction. We didn't want anybody to see. We wanted to give them privacy and give them dignity. That is the most important thing in that sort of situation. And they brought him round a couple of times, managed to get him breathing again in that heart rate, but then he'll drop again straight after. I think it's called VF. Don't quote me on that, but he kept on dropping out. Eventually they knew they couldn't bring him back, so they declared that he died. What made it hard for me was not seeing him die, it was seeing his wife see him die. You know, nobody wants to see their loved one die in front of their eyes like that. I don't know whether they were visiting, I don't know whether they were patient and a relative, I don't know the actual backstory at all. Didn't have to ask, didn't, you know, want to ask, you know, it wasn't the right situation. So, but as soon as that patient had died and then spoke, between them all, you know, whilst we were there, the duty manager went to the relative, of course, because they're the next of kin, explained to them what had happened. And then the other manager of such, which is sort of below the duty manager, was there. She came over to me, so I'm wearing a different uniform because I'm in charge, and said to me and Steve, are you okay? And that was a lovely thing to do. And they actually checked on us as well, because they were coming down the corridor, they saw me just at the right time. It was perfect timing, you know. And don't get me wrong, if I'd have 4-2'd it, the crash team would have been there in less than 30 seconds, so there would be somebody there. But to see that person walk around the corner, it's wow, thank you so much, you know. And she's going on for a while, I do apologise. She was checking on us and that, and I was fine, you know, a bit sad for the lady, like, you know, but I've seen it before. We got back to the lodge afterwards, and I made Scotty and Steve drink. And I said to them, right, unless it's urgent, we're having a 20-minute sit down. Unless it's urgent, things can wait. So, I mean, luckily nothing came through for about an hour after that. But Steve was visibly shaken by it. So I pulled him out of the office and I said to him, to give away from Scotty, I said to him, "You alright, mate?" He goes, "No," he said, "I'm not. I feel so hopeless. You know, I should have been able to help." I said, "Mate, you did help." I said, "What medical training you got?" He said, "Well, none." I said, "Well, what could you do medically?" "Not much." He said, "Well, when they said they wanted some blood, when they said they wanted some equipment, what did you do?" "I went and got it," he says. I said, "Well, there you go. By you going to get that has saved a doctor or a nurse leaving the patient to go get it. So you've helped out by ensuring that patient is getting continued care by their doctors and nurses. So you've done the right thing. You've done all you can do. You know, so sadly in this life, if it's somebody's time, it's somebody's time. And I think for that chap it was. You know, it was sad. You know, and like I said, we were having to deal with that as a porter. You know, so when you get drivers moaning about this job, you think to yourself, really? In the grand scheme of it, yes, you might run a bit late, yes, you might have a long day, yes, they might be waiting around, but you're not having piss thrown at you, being attacked by needles, being attacked by patients, seeing people die, seeing operations happen, having to get to places real urgently because that patient's life literally depends on it. You have to do helicopter transfers, which we had to do. The helicopter would come in, we have to rush the patient from the helipad to the theatre a lot of the time, and that helicopter was still running. They didn't even turn it off when you were taking the patient out. It was that desperate. It's like, right, grab and go. That's dangerous. You know, if you're so aware of what you're doing. You know, you are stood. Imagine the length of an Arctic trailer. You are stood at the front end of the trailer whilst the helicopter's landing at the back end of the trailer, and you've got a trolley and a mattress and things like that. Right, I'm back. The only time today that people want to contact me is when I'm doing this. Madness. Where was I? What was I talking about? But yeah, you understand what I'm saying though, basically. That, you know, this job is easy compared to what you have to deal with working for the NHS. But that said, the job working for the NHS is an amazing one. You meet some amazing people. 99% of the jobs that you do are good. You know, there's no doubt about it. You know, the worst side of the job is only a small percentage of what you're actually doing. But it's still to take into consideration. And even that 1% is a lot worse, having to deal with that 1% than having 50% of your days as a driver being bad, being delays and things like that. So I enjoy my job as a driver. The hospital side of things, we had a good team working for us. Like I mentioned, Joan, Andy, bless him, Steve, we had another Steve as well, Tony, John, Nick, who else? Stan when he was working for us, Richard Godwin, Jim, Julie. Julie. He had. Well, I'm just trying to remember names. This isn't really good, is it? But yeah, you get the idea anyway. We had a really good team on. All that were very happy to work. They'd go out and do their bit. They love dealing with the patients. And I love that part of the job. You'd go onto the ward, you'd meet people who you've never seen before in your life. They'll tell you their story. They'd have a bit of a laugh with you on the way down. You might be the only person that they're seeing that day, so you'll brighten their day up by talking to them and things. So yeah, it was a really good job. And I really enjoyed it. But then In 2013, early 2014, we got taken over. We got made private. We were no longer NHS, and things changed. The job itself was the same. Our duties were the same. They changed a lot of things to other departments, but our department didn't really change too much. What did change was the actual procedure of how we ran the department. Now, as a charge hand, my main job was taking calls, log them on a computer, and distribute them out in accordance to location and urgency and things like that to porters. So like if you've got a porter going to one ward with a patient to do an x-ray, but at the same time there's some blood to be delivered to that ward, the porter will take that blood up to the ward and then collect the patient to come down to x-ray. Makes sense. It's like in a truck, you'd send someone to say Nottingham to do a delivery, and they'll collect from Nottingham to come back. Makes sense. And you could do that for multiple jobs as well. So like you'd say to a porter, Ward 26 have got 5 x-rays, would you mind doing them? And they would get a nurse to help as well. You know, they'd sometimes escort the patient, so they'll push a patient themselves. So that's just 3 trips up and down, and they'll just plod on doing that. No problem at all. Nice and easy. But then when we got took over, I won't say who we got took over by because I don't know who's watching. They started having a central call centre in Leicester Royal Infirmary, which dealt with all 3 hospitals, so the Leicester Royal, Glenfield and General. On the first day, within I think about 3 hours, they got the same amount of calls that they were expecting in the first week. They grossly underestimated the amount of work that was needed. And the issue was the people in this control room were not previous members of staff. So they had no idea where the wards were, they had no idea the layout of the hospitals, they didn't know really how the job worked. I think a lot of them were just brought in from the job centre, so to speak. No offence to them, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not slagging off people in the call centre, but they had no idea what was happening, and to be thrown in the deep end, it was grossly unfair, and it meant that they really suffered on the first day. In fact, so much so that within 3 hours, we were receiving phone calls direct from the wards again, because they were fed up of trying to wait in line to make the call to the main call centre, then have to answer so many stupid questions. It's unbelievable. You know, like the ward would ring me up and say, right, we've got a specimen to go down to the labs. So someone's sample, blood sample, whatever, going down to the labs to be tested. Yep, that's fine. Leave it in the specimen box. We'll pick it up. Easy as that. Yeah, nice and easy. The company that took over wanted to know the nurse's name in full, the patient details, name, date of birth, hospital number, address, what sort of sample it was. And it's like, the nurses haven't got time for all this. They're very, very busy on the wards. So of course that made delays. And the other thing was, we were told, because we started taking our calls back in-house again, I think the General did as well, we were told that jobs must be done in the order that they come through, not what they actually are. Because after 20 minutes of waiting, the company gets fined by the trust because the job's been waiting too long. So you're, you know, on the desk as a porter, and you get a phone call. Yep, this is Ward 32, we've got a patient being discharged, he's going home. Amazing, someone's going home, good stuff. But you've got no porter in the room at the time, so it's going to be about 5 minutes. Yep, no problem at all. And that's it. 5-10 minutes later, you get a phone call. Yep, this is paediatric intensive care. Can you get some blood up to us urgently, please? The patient's really unwell. Okay, that's fine, no problem at all. No porter in the room. Like, you know, going to be a couple of minutes, but yeah, fair enough. Now, to me, the blood is urgent because that patient needs it. They're on ITU. The patient going home is going home. You know, lovely. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to be able to sit there in hospital all day, but they can wait another 5 minutes. That's not going to hurt them. Wait another 5 minutes for the blood might make a difference to that patient. Put it that way. So we would do it as the blood first, but we got no end of stick from the company having a go at us and pretty much telling us off because we hadn't done that patient down to be discharged first, and because they got fined for it. It's like, well, hang on a minute, this is a caring profession. Surely you should be caring about what you're doing, not, you know, profit, if that makes sense. You know, so, and that just sort of got more and more, and things started getting cut back. They wanted to cut down the staff. They wanted to make the night staff down just to 2 and 1 security instead of 3 and 1 security, which is not safe. Like I say, you imagine that fire happening with 1 less member of staff. It makes a difference. They then made the domestics, basically the cleaners, serve food on the wards when they came up from the canteen. So instead of having canteen staff do it, they dealt with it. Which, you know, no matter how clean that domestic is and how professional they are, which a lot of them are, 99% of them are amazing members of staff. You are on a ward and you see that domestic go into a toilet and they're cleaning all the toilet and that, making it all look nice. They go out and then 10 minutes later they're bringing your food to you. You don't know how clean their hands are. You don't know what they've done in that toilet. You don't know what they've done to that food. Not ideal, really, is it? And like I said, that's not having a go at the domestics. They are angels. They really were. They're really good. A lot of good domestic friends, Angie and Debbie and people like that. Steve and John and what have you. But yeah, so that's what pushed me out of the NHS, or out of the hospitals. At the time I had my licence for Class 1, and because I'm the main breadwinner, I like to make sure I'm doing the right thing first before I move. And I applied for about 70 different jobs. And then this one at Translink came up, and I got interviewed by the boss, Greg. And he pretty much offered me the job there and then on the day. But I said to him, can I have some time to think about it, please? Because I want to make the right decision. And he's like, yeah, that's fine, no problem at all, just let us know. I think I took a day and a half, to think it over. And believe me, for that day and a half, that is all I was thinking about, was the job. Thinking, oh, is it right? Am I doing the right thing? The money looks better, but the hours are longer. There's no set shift pattern of such. Blah, 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 you know. So, but you know what? Yes, I have made the right decision. I'm really happy where I am. And I've had people from the hospital, even though they're constantly messaging me saying, we really miss you, it was good when you were in charge, which is lovely to see. I also get them saying, you went at the right time. And that makes me feel a lot better for the decision that I made, to be honest with you. Because you do, you know, you get stuck in a job and you enjoy the job, which I did, but it changed. So I couldn't stay with it anymore, really couldn't. But anyway, I think I've chatted for long enough, about half an hour I think all told, if not more. Which I apologise for, but I wanted to talk about the trust a bit. Like I said, I made some great friends at the hospital, working for them, and there still are friends on my Facebook and that. And I've got a lot of respect for the NHS because I've seen what it's like inside. It was 13 years of my life, which is the longest job I've ever had. Coming to 6 years now on this one, so we're getting there, but 13 years is a long time. And yeah, so yeah, it's a big part of me, it really is. So, but yeah, a lot of respect for them all. But anyway, enough of that. I just wanted to explain what I used to do in the hospital. Hope you're all still awake. I'm going to crack on. Like I say, my collection's actually changed now. I'm not collecting from where I collected from yesterday. I'm collecting from a place in Colville, so that's where I'm off to now. And then from there, I don't know what the plan is, I'm not sure. But I'm going to crack on, and I shall play some music so you can all chill, go make yourself a drink. And I shall rejoin you all in about 2-3 minutes. Excuse me a second, we'll have a quick drink. Oh, it's getting warm out. Alright then, so just loaded up at the customers that we was going to go to earlier, and I've got my run on for Monday, which is pretty much, bar the first drop, the same as what I've had today. So it's Beckton and then the other one, whichever the place. I always forget where that one is, you know, but yeah, so that's all loaded on the back. So I've just got some pallet network stuff to get taken off when I get back to the yard, and then I'm parking up, and that is then me done for the day. So I'm going to end the vlog here, but before I do end the vlog, on the news lately there's been a report about a 99-year-old gentleman called Tom Moore, who's been doing a charity walk in his front garden to raise money for the NHS to help fight the coronavirus. Now, at last count, he was over £28 million. Now, bearing in mind that his initial goal was £1,000, I think he's done fantastically well. Now, forgetting all politics, people on my Facebook have been saying, oh yeah, but if the government paid this, if the government did that. Forget that for a minute. Just look at the achievement that this man has done. He's 99 years of age. He fought in the Second World War, so in my eyes anyway, he's already a hero. You know, he's a veteran. He's a hero, regardless. And now he's gone above and beyond, once again, to help his country once more in its hour of need, and raise £28 million for the NHS. Absolutely incredible. So, because it's his birthday on the 30th of April, which I think is a Thursday, or it could be possibly a Wednesday, I can't remember, I'm losing track of my days. On Saturday the 2nd of May, I've proposed that at 2 o'clock, the whole country gets together in their houses or in their own gardens, not social gathering, just the household only in each one, and sings happy birthday to Tom Moore. If you can get a cake and put a candle in it, then do so and blow it out making a wish. If you want to go the whole hog and decorate your house with balloons and stuff like that, then do so. But yeah, sing happy birthday at 2 o'clock with 3 cheers afterwards and a round of applause, because I think it's the least that we can all do, to say thank you for the massive achievement he's done. You know, his life has just been, you know, give all the way, and that's just incredible. You know, it really is. So I'll put a link in the description below to an event that I've set up on Facebook to remind people, but I'll also put the date and everything down in the description. So please, I will be vlogging our little party at home with my wife and little William, so I will be doing that. It might only be like a short bit on the end of the following week's vlog, which will be maybe the 10th or whatever it is. So it'll only be a snippet, so it won't actually be put up online, I don't think, on that Saturday. We'll see how we get on, see what we do. But yeah, please consider doing that. Please, if you haven't already, please consider donating to him. I'll put his Just Giving page link in there as well, because he's just an amazing chap, he really is. If it wasn't for this coronavirus, I'd be round his house shaking his hand and congratulating him, I really would. He's done brilliantly well. And talking about brilliantly well, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Martin and his wife Angela. Now they run, or used to run, a garden railway called the Soar Valley Garden Railway, which is basically miniature locomotives and carriages about that tall, which are powered by batteries and run by remote control. And he'd always invite children round to have a go driving them in the garden. You know, they had figures they could put into the carriages and stuff like this. It was a really nice place. I'll put some pictures up as I'm talking about it. And they had like a tea room at the side where they did all nice sandwiches and stuff. And to actually drive the trains, up until towards the end, they didn't charge a single penny for driving it. And then towards the end, they just charged, I think it was £2 or £1, but that gave you like all day unlimited, and that was it. You know, that's literally what you had to pay. You didn't have to buy anything from the shop if you didn't want to. You didn't have to buy any food and drink. Obviously, they wouldn't allow you to bring your own, but you know, there was no strings attached. That's it. If you want to pay the £2 and sit there in the garden all day long, that's what you could do. It's a lovely, magical place for children. And they were looking to move to somewhere else. But then, of course, this coronavirus put a spanner in the works. They've now closed down the railway, and they are going to be moving, so they're not going to reopen when this is finished. But because Martin and Angela are such kind-hearted souls, they really, really are. Once again, link to his Facebook page and his bits and pieces are in the description below. They've started making with their 3D printer, which obviously they've been using for making models, mask grips for NHS staff. You know, they can wear at the back of their head, where the straps go over that rather than behind their ears to protect the staff. And of course, that means that they can wear a mask comfortably all day long, and thus protect them from catching the coronavirus, or hopefully from passing it on to somebody else. So effectively, that little tool that they're making in their garden is saving lives, and it could be saving countless lives. When you look at it, that one person could transmit to 3, and then them 3 to another 3, and it just spirals, doesn't it? So they're doing an amazing job, and they're not charging the NHS anything at all. They're just making it and sending them out. That's what they're doing. And because I know them so well, I had a word with my boss, and my boss has agreed, which is an amazing thing to do. And thank you Chris, appreciate it, and thank you everyone else that's been involved, Callie, Debbie, Greg, everybody, you know, too many to mention really, have agreed to do the deliveries for them to Nottingham hospitals and Leicester hospitals, which are the ones that they were delivering to anyway, for free. They are delivering the stuff to the hospitals a couple of times a week for free. Okay, it's only a small box, so it's not like a truckload, but the gesture that they're doing that for is incredible. And like, you know, at this time it's just everyone's pulling together, and it's amazing to see. It really is. So, and they've got a Just Giving page as well. I think it's Just Giving or GoFundMe, where you can help them buy supplies to make these bits and pieces. You don't have to, there's no obligation, you know, not at all, but please consider giving something below in the link again. And if you do give to Martin and Angela, please mention my name, just so they know that it's come from me. Obviously the donation is fully yours, and respect for that, but you know, just so they know that I've given you a shout out, giving them a shout out, sorry. But yeah, so I'm feeling really buzzed at the minute that everything's going so well at the minute. Like, everyone's pulling together, trying to get through this virus. We're all working hard as drivers, and like Martin's doing that, and we're helping them out, and it's just amazing. It really is. And I've got something coming up as well with a manufacturer, which I'm not going to say anything else about now, because I don't want to give anything away, but I will let you all know on my social media pages, which are linked in the description below. And I will tag it on to my next vlog as soon as it goes live. Don't know when it's going live, but I'll put it on the one after that when it does. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. If you have, please give the vlog a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment. This is all appreciated, and it does help spread the word about my channel to other people. If you haven't already and you do like the content I'm putting out, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it, which will then notify you of any vlogs that I put up, or indeed any content I put up. I have got a few plans this year for extra bits and pieces. Obviously coronavirus has put a spanner in the work for some of them, but it's not saying it's not going to happen, so we shall see with that one. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much everyone for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. All stay safe, keep washing those hands, look after each other. Much love, see you all soon. Ta-ta.